Fantastic. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Global Expansion Team Zoom. We have the amazing Polk Dillon joining us tonight from North Carolina. We're going to learn a little bit about him and how he got involved in ASEA and why he's continuing to help get the word out. So, Polk, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, glad to.
So tell us a little bit about you. I know you were in the Navy. You said you drove helicopters, flew helicopters in the Navy when you were younger, and then got into the furniture business, right?
Yeah, I did. I was an aircraft carrier helo pilot. Did a little bit in Vietnam.
Fantastic. You left after how many years were you in the Navy?
In the reserves for 25 years.
Wow. Wow. And then what made you decide to get into the furniture business from being in the Navy?
Well, I was also an airline pilot, and they furloughed us, so I went back in. And interestingly enough, too, when I was an airline pilot, they told me that if I ever got sick, that I didn't have a job. So it kind of started me thinking about maybe staying healthy, being a good idea.
So were you a commercial airline pilot or a private airline pilot?
Commercial, yeah.
Commercial. What airline?
Northwest.
Northwest Airlines.
Your part of the world.
Good for you. Good for you. And so then you decided that to make a change from the airline business to the furniture business?
Well, they never quite called me back. They furloughed us after 6 months and never called us back. So I went back in the Navy for a couple of years, and and while I was there, I got introduced to a couple of multi-level marketing companies, one of which is fairly familiar with most people, I think, called Amway.
Okay. So you were familiar with the model of network marketing?
Yeah, and I didn't like it at the time, because at that time, you had to have a garage full of stuff to distribute to people. And it just didn't sound like something I wanted to do. The other one that I got associated with was Holiday Magic, which was, and I actually I did a little bit with that. And it was cosmetics, interestingly enough, for a guy. And I stopped doing that because the principals died and they went out of business.
Uh-huh. So what fascinated you about network marketing? Was that, I mean, you weren't really turned on about network marketing, and then something fascinated you by the prospect when you got involved in the second company. So
the second company, I'm not real sure, to tell you the truth. It just kind of happened. The guy that was talking to me that day just kind of rang a bell and says, I think you ought to give it a whirl, come down and listen to a meeting and see what it's about. And I did. And it just made sense, and I had time. And so I tried it. And of course, the best thing that happened to me is I started listening to Earl Nightingale and Zig Ziglar. And that was just changed my life, literally. My father was a salesman, and I had sworn I was going to do just about anything in the world but be a salesman. But they taught me that being a salesman wasn't really what I had envisioned it to be. It was really helping people find out what they needed and helping them understand that what I had was theirs.
So is that what made you decide to go into the furniture business, that sales wasn't so bad after all?
Yeah, that was part of it. And I had a friend that introduced me to his company and got me involved with them. And of course, I was thinking I was really going to be in management rather than in sales, but in the long run. But
there you go. It's a good business to be in North Carolina, furniture, isn't it?
Wasn't too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. So now, how did you get introduced to ASEA?
Well, my wife had written a book, and I had retired at that point in time from the furniture business, and so I had a little free time. And she'd written a book, and we were up trying to get people interested in it. And somebody had a bottle on their table and told me what it was all about. Said, it works at the cellular level, and it's not like anything else in the world. Of course, I asked her if it was like a product that I discovered years ago that I thought was really good, and I still do. It was fruits and vegetables in a pill, and another network marketing company, of course. But I didn't ever want to go to one of those rah-rah meetings, so I never really did that. I love the model though. I mean, the model still, I always thought it was a great model. But anyway, so she told me about it, and I went home and did a little research and discovered that the usual suspects were saying this same thing about ASEA as they do everything else. I said, must be pretty good.
So when you did research, did you do research on Google, or how did you do research?
Yeah, I did the Google stuff, and I found that medical science, whatever the name of it, a few other people that are paid to do what they do, and said, good, this must be good. And it just, it just made so much sense to me. That's what makes everything else work. Why not give it a whirl?
So the Google stuff didn't turn you away.
Oh no, it turned me on. No, it turned me
it.
on. I thought that was an endorsement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you went home, did some research, and then did you call that woman that was at the trade show, or when you just
Yeah, I did. And I got some for my sister, who had a double mastectomy problem come back. And she was very sick. And so I brought her some of that, and in a month she had made an amazing recovery.
So what about yourself? Did you have a personal product experience, or did you use it really because have you always been health conscious?
I've always been health conscious, and that's what I still am.
So you don't wait for something to go wrong. You're trying to keep ahead of it so things don't go wrong in the first place, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. You're a smart man. That's the way it should be, right? That's how Bo and I got involved also. We've been around sick people, and we don't want to be one of them, right?
Nope. No, thanks. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you decide to join as a customer, or did you decide to join as an associate? Did you decide to tell other people about it from the get-go, or did you start to get more excited once you saw the product working on yourself and other people?
Well, all right. I always get in as an associate. Every I've had a number of network marketing products that I've bought throughout my life. Most of them, of course, health conscious stuff. But the best way to do it is as an associate. You always get the better price and the better deal. And I never did the businesses until now, but of course, when my sister had an amazing experience, I won't go into that too much, but that made me believe even more that this was really good stuff. And so I got a few people in, told them about it, said how great it had done for her, and so I got a few people in it, and then somebody made me go to a meeting. I forget why, but and shoot, I just kept meeting nice people.
Yeah, I see it attracts some pretty great people, huh?
Really does. It's the best I've ever met in my life, from top to bottom.
So when you went to your first meeting and you said it was rah-rah meetings and you weren't interested in that, and some of the other experiences you had were just kind of not very professional, what was different about ASEA when you went to an ASEA group gathering?
Well, they told you good things about, obviously there were always good testimonies, and the testimonies, I've never really heard a testimony that didn't just say, oh my God, that's amazing. And but still, it was more the people, because the people, and I'll never forget one meeting that I went to, and actually that was, I think Virtus was there in Charlotte, and they got all of the gold and above up on the stage and interviewed them a little bit, and went down the line and said, why are you doing this? And obviously, these were the successful people, so they all said to help people, without exception.
What were you used to hearing? What were you used to hearing when people were asked, why are you doing this? What was the normal answer? What were you expecting to hear?
Here, see this check that I got last month? See how much money, I'm making, blah, blah, blah. And that's the normal, that was the normal approach. You can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money. And I never heard that.
Yeah. So so obviously ASEA is more than just about making money. You can make money here. It is a legitimate, legal, ethical business, but the culture of the company is really what's different, right? About helping people.
That's the real, of course, the Genesis story is a one of a kind. And, you can tell the character of those two guys, Vertus and Tyler, right off the bat. I mean, it just yells at you. And then when you when you really hear Tyler talk, when you hear the rest of the stories, it's just, they're just wonderful people with the right idea.
So when you went to help your sister, I mean, I'm sure you weren't thinking about, hey, I bet I can make $60 doing this or whatever. I mean, you thought, oh my gosh, maybe this stuff could help my sister, right? So you were doing what everybody else does, right?
I wanted to help her, and I wanted to use it too, of course. Well, one of the things, she had this condition in her throat where she really couldn't swallow much, that the treatments that she had given her. And I'll never forget that, because they had, at that time, the ASEA box had a spray bottle in it. And I didn't know anything about this stuff, except I'd gotten a box to go bring it to her because it was going to be good. Anyway, I filled that bottle up. I said, we might as well spray it down your throat and just see what'll happen. They've been working on it with other drugs for a couple of weeks and nothing happened. But sprayed it down her throat. And in 2 days, it was gone.
She could swallow in 2 days?
The pain, I guess I'm not even supposed to say pain, but anyway.
Right.
Yeah, she could swallow. Yeah.
Wow.
It went away. I said, snake oil is pretty good, I guess. That's.
So is she still drinking it today?
She would have been if her daughter-in-law hadn't gone to those same Google sites. And if she hadn't gotten so good, they put her back on that treatment again. And of course, they had taken her off of ASEA. And so, no, she made it another month.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yep.
Sorry to hear that. That's one of the hard things about this business, right? I mean, that you really have to let go and let people make their own decisions, don't you?
Yep. And everybody had her best interest, they thought. They were just wrong.
Right. Yep. So what keeps you going? What do you see? Why do you think it's so important for you to get the word out to other people, let them know that this technology and this company exists?
Just simply because it is something that needs to be known in the world by everyone.
So what about when you were an airline pilot and you said they furloughed you and they never asked you back? What did that teach you about business?
That's a really good question. And Alan Noble has the answer to that. That helped me to realize that I was psychologically unemployable. I never again wanted to work for somebody.
So in the furniture store, that was your business? That was your business, or were you an employee with somebody else?
Well, I was a rep, which means I was a commission salesman. I made money when they bought my product. I didn't sell them, remember?
Right. Right.
So no, I worked for myself for that time, from that time on.
Okay, so you couldn't get fired, nobody could lay you off, and you could make as much money as you could earn.
I get another line to sell. If they didn't like me, or if I didn't like them, and I did. I replaced a lot of lines.
What about understanding the interest of reproductive residual income? What about understanding that's possible in this business model? And I know that you say that, people show you the big check, and that's not what ASEA did. ASEA was really about helping people, but a lot of help that people need is in their pocketbook. And as long as it's an honest way of earning a living, there's nothing wrong with earning a living in network marketing, is there?
Oh, no. And that's one of the lessons that I learned from Zig and Earl. And, the business model is the greatest model that's ever been created. When you tell two people and they tell two people and they tell two people, pretty soon it becomes a lot of people. And of course, I'm not that dense. I mean, I don't mind making money. I really don't. I rather enjoyed it, when it came in, but
Right.
no, but it was just a great business model, and no, so that's.
I've heard that there are people that go out to make money, and in the process they help people. And then there's other people that go out to help people, and in the process they make money. And that is kind of what changes,
Yeah.
the culture of a company, isn't it?
Well, it is. And of course, and obviously, as you said, a lot of people do come into this business, and one of my best friends is very business oriented. And that's perfect. I mean, because again, as long as you're helping people in both ways, it's still a good thing. Yeah. And so whatever your motivation is, it's okay. It's okay to have a money motivation too, when you've got a product that is like ASEA, that there is no other one like it in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, why you retired quite some time ago, and you're enjoying your grandkids, and your wife wrote a book, and so she obviously understands residual income, right? But so why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. Why are you doing this?
I just want to help people, and I love it. Well, I mean, actually, yeah, the rest of the story is I love you guys too much not to do it. That's the real deal.
Now, what does that mean? Tell me more about that. You love us. You love people so much that you can't not do it.
ASEA people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys, everybody that I have met, and I met from top to bottom, in every level, this is the finest group of people I've known in my life.
Yeah. So you really joined a community, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fun thing to be a part of.
It absolutely is.
So what if somebody snubs their nose at you and thinks you're absolutely crazy for doing one of those pyramid things?
How many times?
Do you get that a lot?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
And do you try to explain what you're actually doing and why this company chose the business model of network marketing in order to get the word out?
A little bit.
Or do you
Not
just
too much. Most of the time it's wasted effort, but no, I always got to put in a plug for it. It is the best business model around. And of course, I know a little bit about the history of network marketing and the folks that don't want it. And I won't get into too much politics, but yeah, a lot of those people are paid very well to say that network marketing is bad, because they don't want people to understand how good it is.
I remember when Bo and I first got into this business, we were working with Dennis and Julie Downey down in Santa Fe, and they had some people from Saudi Arabia come in and say, listen, we really love this product. They'd been taking the product back to their country and taking it, and realized what a powerful thing we had in our hands. And they offered a huge amount of money to ASEA to bring this product into Saudi Arabia without the network marketing model. And ASEA very gracefully turned down this huge sum of money and said, we're really devoted to the network marketing model, so, and Saudi Arabia right now is not in our business plan. So they were sticking to their plan, and they were sticking to partnering with those of us who are willing to stick our neck out and move this company forward in the field, while the corporation is moving this company forward from the corporate standpoint.
And that is a great point. And of course, I know that Vertus turned down a number of drug companies. I think he said he was getting a call a week, years ago. And the fact that they are as committed as they are to us, obvious, that's part of my love.
Right. That they didn't just take the money and run, that they actually put this in the hands of the people. What's been called one of the most important scientific discoveries of our lifetime, turned down the check from these pharmaceutical companies, worried that regular people like you and I would never hear about it. So they said, let's start a network marketing company and release this discovery to regular people like you and I, so we could tell our sister and our brother and our neighbor and our friend and, the guy we play pickleball with, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you never can tell when good things happen. You know, I've got some good friends when we go to lunch every Sunday with some folks after church, and their daughter came to visit one time, and I had gotten them some ASEA at one point because they needed it, and anyway, their daughter came to visit, and they'd dropped out, but there was a box left in her father's office which she tripped over. She's a naturopathic doctor, and she said, "Dad, this looks like pretty good stuff." Anyway, she did the research on it. This is fabulous stuff, you know. So you never can tell how you're going to get a new associate.
Oh, she literally tripped over a box of ASEA on the way out because somebody else wasn't using it.
Right. So, I mean, everything is good.
Right. That's funny. That's funny. Do you ever get frustrated because you just want to shake people and say, this is the real thing. This is for real.
Oh, sure. Every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you mostly talk to? Are you talking to friends and neighbors? Are you going into naturopathic offices? How active are you out there recruiting people, or do you kind of just recruit as you're living your life when it's appropriate?
That, but also I'm working LinkedIn pretty hard. I kind of like that. And I've made a lot of new friends there too. That's you know, even when they say no, you meet a lot of nice people.
Right. And so are people open when you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn? Are they open to having a conversation and learning more about what you're doing?
Some of them are, some of them aren't.
Right.
That's life.
That's right. That's life. Yeah. So, well, now you said your wife's supportive. She's been to a couple of conferences, ASEA conferences.
Mhm.
Does she take the product on a regular basis?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
She
what about
really
the rest of your family? Do you have a family like most of us where our families just think we're insane and
Mhm.
don't take
Virtually everybody. Actually, not totally, because our son is mentally handicapped and he is faithfully drinking it.
Wow.
No, the group home makes it, but no, he wouldn't. I'm sure he would do it anyhow. But no, my other son and daughter, no.
Yeah.
Well, actually, our daughter tried it, and she needed it probably as much as anybody that I know. And I scheduled a time when she was not going to be working, so where she could be home for a week because she needed to detox. She'd just forgotten that I said what detoxing was. And it made her really sick and scared her to death. So she's gone.
Yeah. It's important to drink a lot of water while you're drinking ASEA, isn't it? And it's important to walk so you pump your lymph system, right?
And of course, and I should mention too that she had proved perfectly well earlier on. This was her second time trying ASEA. And the first time we discovered when we were up there babysitting one time that she had the bottle of ASEA that she was quote, quote, using behind a picture in her bathroom unopened. So she proved perfectly well that ASEA does not work if you don't drink it.
If you don't drink it, right? Yeah, well, it's definitely not an easy business, and it's not an easy technology to understand. And there's certain people that are just, I mean, absolutely so grateful that this came into their life because they might not even be on this planet if that hadn't come into their life. And there's other people that are taking it for prevention like we are. And there's other people that, I mean, see the business opportunity that's attached to this, that they can't believe that this company chose a network marketing business model to bring this to the people. I mean, it's unheard of. It's unlike anything else out there, right?
Yeah, and not only that, the beauty of it is that they didn't know anything about network marketing, but they did know how to run a business. And you know, what's wonderful is what is 13, 14, whatever years, no amount of years that it is now, they have grown consistently and have never missed an order. That's, I mean, because there's a lot of history in network marketing companies that had a great product that they just couldn't make enough of.
Yeah.
Or somehow or another, you know, ran the business out of business.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of that, isn't there? And that's what gives network marketing a bad name so often, isn't it? That
That
the
too.
company can't keep up with demand, or they have to change the makeup of the product that everybody loves, and they don't love the product anymore. And ASEA doesn't have those problems because it's not based on the ingredients, right? At least
Mhm.
of the redox products. Salt and water is pretty easy to get access to. It's not about the ingredients, it's about what we do to the ingredients that makes it so special, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice to be affiliated with people that know how to run a company.
Yes, it is. And as you said earlier too, that really believe in us.
Yeah. Well, they say over and over again, the people at corporate say over and over again, it's a true partnership, that we
Mhm.
couldn't do what we do without them, and they couldn't do what they do without us. And they realize that, and we realize that. So, and I mean, the world has been through some pretty dramatic changes in the past, 14 years, and they have weathered the storm, which says a lot for them, especially when you're shipping 32-ounce bottles of liquid to 33 countries around the world, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Not an easy thing to do.
No, and they don't go into a country until they're ready to go in,
Right.
financially and everything else, with everything set in place.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to realize that that the people running this company had the best interest of humanity in mind? How long did it take you before you really sensed, you know what, this is something special?
Well, I mean, obviously the Genesis video was the first time, and that said plenty and enough for me to believe that forever. But good gracious, the more we see what they do and how they do it, and hear all of the, when Tyler tells the story about how this thing really got started and all the things that came together miraculously, God's hand had to be there somewhere.
Yeah, it's so meant to be. There were so many invisible threads and people that just were in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
Yeah, do you ever look at your business that way? Do you ever feel like somebody's in front of you for a reason, and that you feel a moral obligation to speak up if it's appropriate? Because if you don't, maybe something awful will happen to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes it works.
And sometimes you end up with mud on your face, but at least you stuck your neck out, right?
But I did it. Yeah, that's right.
So what was harder, flying a helicopter in Vietnam or building a ASEA business?
Maybe in a sea of business, but but they were both a lot of fun, quite honestly. So they're both good. But
Yeah. Well, so it's really great to hear you be so honest about what goes on out there, because somebody that's been in the business as long as you have. How long have you been in the business now?
8 years.
8 years. So in the 8 years that you've been in this business, and you've had sisters that have quit taking it after a miraculous product experience, you've had daughters-in-law, tell, a daughter that's not taking it, proving that it doesn't work, even though she's not taking it. These crazy experiences that we all have. And sometimes we feel like, oh man, maybe this is just too hard. What would be your advice for somebody who's building an ASEA business and really just, wants to help people, but also wants to make an income at the same time? What would your advice be as far as going out there and talking to people?
Just do the do. You never can tell when somebody's gonna kick over a box.
Right. Yeah, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Is that part of it?
Exactly.
The more people you talk to, the more,
the more boxes you can get kicked
likely.
over. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You never know, somebody might just kick over a box. A naturopath walking out of an office of somebody who decided not to use it. That's a classic
And it really is.
Classic story.
She is wonderful too, by the way.
Is she still sharing this in her naturopathic business?
Yeah. And she is responsible for some of the things that I've sent out to you that blow you away.
Yeah. So
the one just recently, by the way, I don't know if everybody has is aware of this, but she just discovered that the Budwig Center in Spain, which is a huge C word, I guess they are a big natural healing place over in Spain that is worldwide and knows a lot about the C word. And they have one of the remedies that they use and recommend for that C word that rhymes with answer or whatever, is ASEA. They recommend ASEA.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good to help our bodies get the information about which cells are healthy and which cells are unhealthy so the body can do a better job of healing itself, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want bad cells replicating in our body or we could end up in a bad way, right?
That's the deal.
Yeah. Well, Polk, thank you so much. It's great to visit with you. I'm so glad that we got to visit over Zoom. You're on one side of the country, I'm on the other side of the country, but it's always great to see your face and hear your words of wisdom.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's always good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, have a great night and tell your wife, thanks so much for sharing some time with us, for
Sure.
letting you share some time with us.
Will do.
All righty. Good night, Polk. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Tim. Bye-bye.